Council and members of the public. I'm here tonight to speak about the current state of affairs in Town Hall and to question the effect of the current council and their actions. I've heard time after time in the last year, since I started following local politics, that various members of council are carrying out their campaign promises and doing what their constituents requested them to do. The most time-consuming matter discussed by this council in the meetings in the last year have been concerning one particular project that was approved by the OMB early in 2011, but still has some ongoing legal action on the part of a small group of residents supported by FUPA. This is the same organization that contributed to some of the current councillors' campaigns in the last election. I question if and when alliances were formed with FUPA and what bearing it has had on the 4-3 registered votes of the current council. This legal action has consumed a lot of time and money, and I question whether this waste of time and money could have been avoided by council acting in the best interest of the town, accepting the decisions of the previous and this very current council as final and moving on to other matters. This issue is apparently somewhat like the never-ending song, and if anybody has ever heard that song, they know how annoying it can get. I question how many of you ran on a campaign that represents the actions of this council in the last year. While researching information on various campaigns, I found little mention of this project other than where one councillor states, "I filed an OMB appeal to stop this." Even if his name was later removed from the 13 OMB appeals that failed, I question if it is a conflict of interest for this council to put forth motions, take part in discussions, and vote on any issue with regard to this project. That said, I did find a lot of statements with regards to promises of accountability, transparency, and respect. I have yet to see much accountability, transparency, and I can tell you honestly that I feel that this council has not shown a lot of respect for the business community or its full-time residents. When this council came into power, one of the first things on the agenda was the operational review. This was part of some of the councillors' campaigns to prove, once and for all, if and where there was room for improvement. Many rumors had circulated in this town about things going on in Town Hall. Words like corruption, old boys network, and wrongdoing by senior staff were being circulated around town. This review was presented to the public as a way of identifying places to increase the efficiency of how the town was being run and to identify any areas with room for improvement. The concern was to get the best and the most bang for our bucks, all 93,000 of them. As you know, the report came in, and Fort Erie compared favorably to other municipalities of this size. Some areas for improvement were identified. Without going into great detail, the biggest room for improvement was with regard to better governance. And I quote from the summary report from Monday, January 23rd, Council and Committee meetings. Under the summary's key finding, there is an opportunity to build stronger relationships between staff and council, improving trust and in turn, staff morale. Some additional capabilities may exist within some departments, but the preliminary scan found no glaring inefficiencies. Better governance appeared to hold the greatest opportunity for improvement to the operations. It has the potential to increase the number of key operational decisions being made by the town and decrease the amount of time and effort made to make them. However, when relationships are strained, morale goes down and productivity can suffer 30% or more. Building strong relationships between staff and council, improving trust, and in turn, improving staff morale is one of the most important bullets in this findings, end of quote. Productivity can suffer 30% or more. In the actual report, as you're aware, there is even more detail in item number 24 and 25. That same night, a motion was put on the floor to accept that report from Western Management Consultants. The motion was carried. Then a motion to do a quarterly review of the 25 opportunities and provide a progress report was put on the floor by Councillor Beale. That motion was also carried, as well as several others with regard to the report. April 23rd, 2012 would be the due date for the first quarterly progress report. When can we expect this report to be made public? What has been done to implicate changes in work relationships between staff and council? Has there been any plan set in motion to improve the working relationships? How does the fact that our lawyer has been terminated without cause fit into the plans to improve working relationships and build trust with the staff? How does 5 hours of closed-door meetings that result in an announcement of our lawyer being on paid leave fit into the current budget? Do we have any in-house legal representation for the town of Fort Erie? Who is handling the day-to-day legal operations of this town? Are we paying Lancaster, Brooks and Walsh in additional to paying our lawyer's salary? Will the current events, whatever they may be, affect any of the current litigation going on against this town? And if so, in what ways? Has there been any other legal action filed against the town or councillors or staff that the public has not yet been made aware of? Will any of the events taking place in these closed sessions result in any permanent changes in any of our key staff members or council? And will this have any significant effect on tax increases in the future? There are so many questions and so few answers. I personally have seen no evidence to date of any changes being made in the area of better relationships between council and staff. I've attended and listened closely to council meeting after council meeting for the last 3 months since this report came out. I am fully aware that after 5 hours of a closed session meeting with regard to a matter that has resulted in our town lawyer being on paid leave, the rumor mill is flying right now, and there's a lot of information, and I'm sure some misinformation out there as well. When a motion is passed to have staff follow councillor's direction and is done by the typical 4-3 registered vote, and no clear, concise information is made available, the level of confidence in this current council dropped to an even further all-time low. At this time, I would like to see just what kind of bang we got for our $93,000 in that operational review. A few weeks ago, after the announcement of slots closing, every member of council here said that they were going to stop the petty bickering and work as a team for the good of this town. God knows from recent events, we cannot count on the provincial government to help us in any position for the next few years, short of convincing Metro Toronto to annex the town. After all you stated that you would put bickering aside and work together, I personally thanked this council, all of you, and said how pleased I was to hear, and that I was looking forward to this town moving in a positive direction. I also believed, based on what little facts that have been released and what rumors are floating around, that we may be facing an even more rocky road ahead if this council is unable to put personal agendas aside and work with staff to protect our town. As a business person, I have little to no